Welcome back. Pull up a chair. Welcome back to our top 10 albums of 2022 so far. We have finished our 10 down to 6. We're now about to do 5 down to 1.
Yeah, so I'm assuming you do a link in the... If you're checking us out through the YouTubes, you'll do some link to get them back to that previous video?
Link below to the previous video. But we're now on the top 5s, gents. This is where shit gets serious. Top 5s. Woo.
Oh dear.
That's right. So far, we haven't crossed over or even mentioned the same album twice.
Yep, no twin dongs up in this bitch.
Hell no. But is that going to remain?
No. Knowing how we're schooled albums this year, I imagine our top 5s, there is going to be crossover, so... Yeah.
Okay.
Unless we're all just throwing caution to the wind here and saying, fuck what we said this year. I'm my own man.
Keep telling yourself that.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get into this and start off with our number 5. So, number 5. This is the newest entry to my top 10 of the year so far.
We're about to twinsy. I can already feel it. I can feel it in my nuts, Dave. My nuts just tighten.
I feel it in my plums. We reviewed this when we recorded this about a week ago.
Yeah, as well. Fuck.
Oh, here we go. Here's where it starts. The review isn't even online as we speak. Will be very soon though.
So we can just change our minds then. I didn't like it.
But yeah, by the end of July, when the album comes out, you will be able to see our full review on YouTube. This was it was too good not to have in my top 10. And Duncan messaged earlier today, like, Dave, this technically isn't out yet.
Yeah.
Can we put it on our list? And I said, Duncan, this is absolutely going in my fucking list.
Which made me happy, because that meant I could include Mantar as well, which technically isn't out at the point of recording.
True.
I was like, you've opened the floodgates now, Dave. Just drop a wee bit Gary in there. It's not till September, but we've got the album, so we're fine.
Yeah, even though I've not had as much time with this album as I have like the other albums on my list, the quality of this album speaks for itself. Comes out on July 29th via Hassle Records. The album is called They Fear Us by Ithaca. A UK metallic hardcore band with a twist. Now, if you've heard the previous...
It's not a is that how you... All right.
That's for the visuals.
So you were Salt B in this.
All right.
And I was like, Salt B is not... That's a sprinkle, not a twist.
It was a wee twist.
Yeah.
Like a wee twist of something.
Oh, I've got you.
I do
I
the two hands up. I bet.
Yeah.
What? What's Kyle doing?
He's twisting.
Okay.
I'm doing
That's what you call it in Norway.
He's got us. Let's twist again. Where are we going?
You are showing your age right now. Now.
Yes, I am 85 years old. Thanks for pointing it out, Dave.
Did they do it at the wedding? They must have surely done it at the wedding.
What, the twist?
That's one of those tracks. Everyone's up on the dance floor.
No one did it. No one. They did have a big band though that didn't play either.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Played modern songs. Okay, it was
all
very
these
confusing.
Modern weddings, man.
Yeah, these mod weddings.
Where's the classics? Where's the fucking classics?
Where if they don't play Brown Eye Girl, I'm fucking leaving.
Brown Eye Girl, my man.
So it's not a wedding. It's not a fucking wedding.
Mustang Sally. Where's the Mustang Sally?
No, there wasn't any mustache.
What?
I'm now convinced it wasn't a wedding at all. It was just a way to fleece guests for stuff. An elaborate dinner that they made in the back and then served to people.
A bag of toasters. We've got it. Let's go.
A bag of toasters.
No. Sorry. Anyway. Okay.
Your idea and my idea of wealth are two different things. He was like, they're fucking loaded. A bag of toasters. Anyway,
Ithaca, they fear us. If you've heard their previous album, The Language of Injury, then you'll have an idea of that kind of metallic hardcore sound that they possess. But They Fear Us, a bit of a different beast, this album.
Yep.
It still possesses that same kind of ferocity, but with the mix of it's got that kind of like early metalcore meets hardcore, but the changes they made on this album will put this band quite firmly on the map, I believe. The album isn't out at the point of this recording, but I believe when this comes out, heads will roll, Duncan, heads will roll. They have incorporated so much more.
What? They can't listen to the music if they've been decapitated, Dave. I'm just saying, heads will roll.
That is a good point. A good point. Legs will roll, Duncan. Legs will roll. What was I saying? Yeah, Ithaca, They Fear Us.
Why does that guillotine have? Why does that guillotine have two holes? It's a leg guillotine.
Actually, a French thing. Yeah.
I do like the idea. I do like the idea though that the guillotine was developed to cut garlic bread.
Well, that's where it comes. That's why they cut the legs off, because the people from the UK didn't understand they were leg guillotine. For the legs, right?
Yeah. And the guillotine, the most elaborate invention to cut bread. To get a crowd round, a basket at the end.
Right, I'm with you now, right.
Yeah. You've
garlic bread. So they have incorporated so many more elements into this album. We've got more progressive elements, we've got moments of shoegaze, we've got post-hardcore, we've got just the sound that has really just taken them to the next level. And it's all just seamlessly kind of woven together in a way that makes you want to come back to this time and time again. It is so addictive. The production was handled by our man Lewis Johns, and I think that has a big part to play in the kind of. He's
having a great year, by the way. He's having a fucking phenomenal year.
Yeah, he has outdone himself once again. It is flawless production. It's only their second album, which is just
get out of here. That's not their second.
No,
album.
It's their second album, Kyle.
Oh, Jesus
ridiculous,
Christ.
Man.
Yeah.
Just the confidence they have on album number 2 is just fucking unbelievable. I don't want to give away too much because our review is still to drop, and we're going to.
I think they might know what the score is on.
Possibly, but
I had to pass up that review, so I'm going to give it a 5 right here.
We go into detail on the full album review, so check that out when it drops. But this is an album you must check out. Ithaca, They Fear Us. It's my number 5. It is a fucking banger of an album. Duncan, what's your number 5?
Twinsies. Yeah, this is so monumentally good. I spoke, and people will hear when the video drops, about the confidence in the songwriting and the ability within the band, specifically the vocals. The vocal melody in particular is taking a huge jump up in confidence. She doesn't have the hugest range of, she's not like, it's not like Spirit Box, you know what I mean? It's not a level of range, but where the frustration sets in for me is there are some female-fronted bands just now that are doing incredible things vocally that are just being passed over because the Spirit Box singer can scream and sing, and then I'm listening to Blood Command and I'm like, well, she's fucking doing, and I'm listening to Ithaca and I'm like, well, that's what she's doing, and the melodies are fucking incredible and they're crafted really, really well. I just feel this, it's like, I don't want to shit all over a band that everyone loves at the moment, but it's like that's the new shiny toy, as if it's something that bands aren't doing or aren't doing really fucking well at the moment. And I think by focusing all your attention on that, what you're doing is you're putting bands like Ithaca, who have been on the go longer, as a band that are riding the coattails.
Mhm.
And I think that's a false presumption to take on this. This is a band who are evolving in the best possible way. The songwriting is absolutely incredible. Vocals are just like so good. So good. Like every time I was like that, right? I know like the last chorus you're gonna hit the higher note, and she doesn't do it. She doesn't do it. She sticks to her guns and nails perfectly what she can do. Just, I mean, it's a joy to listen to, and it's got weight and depth, and it's heavy, and it's beautiful, and it's fucking awesome. And yeah, I can't wait for everyone to fall in love with this album as much as I have. My number 5, like Dave, is Ithaca. They fear us on Hassle Records, joining their label mates, Blood Command. That's a tour I want to see.
Ooh, yeah,
Can you imagine?
That'd be good.
Off, Dave. Oh.
Put that together. Let someone do that.
Let's make it happen. Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah. Kyle, number 5.
5? I can't believe that's a second album. Are you kidding
Yeah,
me?
yeah.
Fuck,
Yeah.
it's so good. So good.
Yeah.
Can we redo the review so I can gush about it a bit?
You know what I mean? This is a Park Life album.
Fucking nuts.
Dave's looking confused. They're like, confidence is a Park Life. That's what confidence. Confident album. It's a Park Life album. All the people, Dave. So many people will be buying the Ithaca album when it drops end of the month after listening to our review on Metal Epidemic.
You're welcome.
Hand in hand through their Park Life. Anyway, right, Kyle.
Oh man, what to say about this one? This one came out in February.
Ooh.
February 11th.
Ooh.
With elements of black metal,
Ooh.
melodic death metal,
Oh.
soul, and
what's
gospel. Everybody here knows what it is already. It's the self-titled album by Zia Lanada.
Yep.
And I keep coming back to it. I love it. It's
So
just
good.
it's so like, I don't know what the word is. Eclectic, I suppose. It's just
That's the word. That's a good word.
Exactly
You used it
the
right. You used it right, Kyle.
Oh my God, the guy from Norway used an English word correctly. So yeah, it's a good album. No, I love the way it goes like light and shade. Come on, we've got to use it again. Yeah,
Take you on a journey.
it did.
There we
You
go.
see,
There we
it's
go.
all there, isn't it?
Nice.
But you think it's going to go one way. That's the thing. Like you think it's going to go one way, but it really doesn't. It goes not completely the opposite way, but not one you expect. And it still catches me off guard, even though I've listened to it 100,000 times. Yeah. And it's just like, I really love all the different things that go into it, especially when he starts doing the gospel stuff over the black metal. I'm like, what the fuck?
So
These
good.
two things should not go together, but they
So
do.
good.
So yeah, can't stop listening to it. It's definitely one of the ones on repeat this year for me. So
It's in my,
It's not my-
14.
Yeah.
It's in my 14. I just didn't make the 10. So I like you, Kyle. I'm kind of captivated by the dude. I think he's like, with any accusations of him playing out a gimmick, I think are long gone by this album.
absolutely.
I think what he's done on this album is somehow released the most commercial thing he's ever done, but still maybe the heaviest thing he's ever done.
Yeah,
like
it's
in
still
parts.
really heavy.
And I understand, like, people maybe it's like it can be a bit generic-y black metal. Black metal is generic-y, let's be honest. Like that's not it's the song composition of what he does that I think elevates it. Also happens to just be a very talented guy just in general with production, so he knows all the tricks. But very much like yourself, I've spun it. I still spin it to death. It's a great fucking album.
I totally agree. It's absolutely fantastic.
A shout.
Oh,
Okay.
Surprised no one's talked about it yet.
But that's just why, because it was in my number 4. It was in my top 14. And Dave didn't like it as much as us, which means he definitely went on his 10.
Not my 10. Good album, not my 10.
Get out.
My number 4, however, is my 10. And
You know? You know numbers well.
yeah, Scottish guy knows numbers well.
It's what
In
we're
Scottish.
famed for. Mathematicians. Us
Number
and the
4.
Chinese. Gifted mathematicians. In fairness, half the tech that the world uses just now. Not that I want to be that guy that's had a few drinks and like that. We invented the fucking world, but we did. Most of the modern tech started in Scotland. Thank me by sucking my dick, world.
Okay.
Oh man!
Wow.
Yeah, flashlight invented by an American though. Who would have guessed? I'm too lazy to get a girlfriend, so I will invent something that can suck my dick for me.
I bet his name was Neil.
9 Inch Neil.
9 Inch Neil. Number 4. If you had said to me,
If I had said to you,
or Kyle, had said to me,
why me?
that this next album wouldn't be in my top 3 at this point in the year, I'd have said, liar. You're a fucking liar.
He's strong wording this right now. I don't like it. He's getting aggressive.
When we
no one said the words. No one said the words.
I can see it in your eyes.
He's like, listen, he's doing his side of a fake. Like, you know, when you're in the shower and you like come up with the best one liner or something that someone said to you like 20 minutes ago. You're like, I should have fucking said that. Yeah. That's what he's doing right now. He's playing his whole side of his argument for a conversation that never happened, Kyle. Exactly. He never said that.
When we reviewed this album, and we gave it all the praise and all the future accolades it's going to get. I thought this would be top 3 for sure. Like, I thought, yeah, this is easy. Where we're going now. Easy. The fact that it's just sitting out with my top 3 is kind of insane. But here we are, me talking to myself in the third person. My number 3 was released on July 1st via Nuclear Blast Records.
Oh.
It was the band's second full-length album, which was highly anticipated by many. It was Pathos by Conjurer.
We are twinsying up again, and I am not happy right now. Like, Operation Send Me thy list and read from the notes is
what's happening?
Yeah, I don't like anything that's happening right now.
Duncan, this feels so good. If you have heard the band's debut album, Mire, then you'll have a rough idea of what to expect. But at the same time, you've got fucking no idea what to expect on Pathos. No, you have got. You've got a bit of an idea. Still within that kind of like filthy, sludge-soaked kind of post-metal with a bit of a hardcore streak. Just like Conjurer just have leveled up on album number 2. Like, this album is twisted, it's contorted, it's bleak, it's got twists in it, it'll slam you into a brick wall. It's just so fucking unbelievably heavy, but it's also an album saturated in contrast.
Yeah,
it toes the line perfectly between those like really like monolithic, discordant grooves, but are counterbalanced against these like huge, sprawling, uplifting layers of melody, both musically and vocally. And I mentioned it on our review, which you can check out, by the way. It's online, youtube.com/Metal Epidemic. Yeah. But I think the key to this album's greatness is the songwriting on Pathos. The structure and the foundations of this album are just unbelievably solid, that they then kind of build on with layers of texture and atmosphere. And it's an album that hits constantly with this kind of huge impact. You can feel the intensity in every chord, every drum hit, every vocal line, and nothing feels like off the cuff here either, like they're just kind of winging it. It all feels well constructed and everything feels like it's there for a reason. But it's weird at the same time, it doesn't feel like too regimented either. You know, the whole thing comes off very organic. There's the organic word as well. We use that a lot.
We are like, it's the almanac. Again, just do Metal Epidemic bingo. Could work as well.
That's the end of your game for us.
It's an album that just kind of gets deeper and deeper into your head on every listen. And I've rinsed it so many times now. And even that it's like 50 odd minutes in length, it doesn't feel a long album at all. It just flies in. And I think that's why I've kind of gone back to it so much. Just the ease of the album, it just kind of put it on, and before you know it, you're at the end of it and want to play it again. I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I really enjoyed Maya, but I feel like they have just kind of taken it to that next level on this album. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Conjurer Pathos number 4. Duncan, what's your number 4?
Conjurer and Pathos by Nuclear Blast. Fuck my hairy ring. What are we doing here? Yeah, this is... I could imagine less intelligent people being surprised that this made my top 5, because in general, musically, it involves some of the elements that I enjoy, but not necessarily I'm like, you know, like top tier albums for me. Conjurer to me are a band that have risen to the occasion. Bigger label, bigger release.
Yeah.
Clearly more time spent crafting the songs, and the outcome of that is that, given time, the right label, and the right producer behind them, these guys are fucking incredible. I think that's like that. The biggest shift for me was just the horrible word to use when talking about metal bands, but the maturity in the songwriting is just colossally different. The injection of melody and the way it's handled is like borderline genius, and it always comes at the right moment when the aggressive stuff is getting to that tipping point of becoming almost a bit monotonous, or you know, like a level of lethargy that's coming in where you're just like, but then it kicks in and it opens up, and they're not afraid to use it. And to be honest, if I could sing like this guy could sing, I'd be just doing that. I wouldn't be doing the other shit. His voice is fucking incredible. Musically, like this is how I know that certain bands are in for keeps. You know what I mean? Like, these guys could very, very clearly do much more commercial music with ease. It would not be a fucking stretch for them, and they would sell more albums, and they would do bigger tours and all the rest. And the fact that they've created something as abrasive as they have, but at the same time managed to make it like far more viable to those that maybe weren't aware of Conjurer before, is a testament to really good songwriting.
Yeah,
you can be heavy as fuck and still have those elements in there. You can be, you know, and vice versa. You can be a more commercially viable to invite people that are not used to that abrasive sound while still retaining the core heaviness, and they have it here. There are moments on this that are jaw-droppingly heavy. Like, just like, I think it's the track 2, Raw something, can't remember. I was going to say Raw Dog, but that means something else. Something else. It's on the brain now. Where the riffs towards the end are some of the most discordant, disgusting things I've heard this year. Will Haven was a band that I mentioned in combination with their sound as well, in that they have that ability to create a really kind of almost clingy darkness to their sound. Like, it just feels oppressive at times, and that's why that melody, that's why that light, that contrast, like, stands out. It's needed. It's needed, and it stands out. It is an amazing effort from a band. Once again, 2 albums in. This is the fucking, this is Ithaca all over again. The UK scene just now is fucking amazing, right? 2 UK bands back to back here. Second album, monumental shift up. Yeah, I'd like you, if you're in the UK just now, listen. The cliche that I used right at the start of the previous video, now is the best time to be a metal fan. You're afforded so much, and Conjure an example of where we can take things, and also a testament to Nuclear Blast, who have done. I know I have my favourite record label is represented well this year. Like Relapse is doing really, really great, but Nuclear Blast strategically have leveled up bands consistently across the board this year. And whilst maybe not many of them are on my 10, like, trust me, the back 10 has plenty, and Conjurer are at the top of the pile. They really do not sleep on this album. This album deserves to be huge. It deserves to elevate the band. They should be out touring. Can't wait to fucking see them. And I'm very, very excited. Pathos is the name of the album. Conjurer is the band. Apparently me and Dave have twinned up again. It's via Nuclear Blast. It's available now, and it's my number 4.
Nice. Kyle. Where are you going with your number 4?
Surprisingly, it's not Conjure.
Someone didn't read their emails.
We've done a three-way.
There have been the very, very rare
That's
occasion.
after the podcast.
There's been a very, very, very rare occasion where all 3 of our hosts have been plugged at the same time. It's not common. I'm not aware of us all having on one of these lists an album that's all landed exactly in the same place. We've all been in or around, but never.
Okay. There's still a chance.
Our Menzies haven't always they haven't all synced up at the same time.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, Kyle. What you got?
Number 4.
Number 4 for me is another February album from this year.
Oh.
Yeah, February 4th, in fact, from UK, I believe, band Erebos by Venom Prison.
Oh, Kyle.
Nice.
I like it.
It's not all fucking wrong with this one. It's all fucking right.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the ferocity and all of it, just everything in this album just keeps me coming back. It's just so well done. It's a step up from their previous stuff, and everybody lavished it with so much praise, and it's well deserved. And
rightly,
and it's stuck with me the whole year. So far, I'm only halfway through it, but if this doesn't end up in like my top 5 at the end of the year, I'll be extremely surprised because I love it that much. It's really, 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 really just clung to it like, I don't know, like a sticky thing. I don't know.
My biggest regret is that we won't see them this year now, because that's them officially on hiatus while she goes away to give birth.
But I'm glad they did that as well. That's another reason.
100%.
Really, yeah, absolutely. They're just like, we're just going away for us to do this thing, and she can do her thing, and it's great, and it's just like absolutely fantastic.
You
and
need
they were so
that.
open and honest about it. It's great. Yeah.
Like when the time comes to start a family, a band shouldn't stand in the way, and the fact that they were fully supportive and all the rest is the right. That is healthy.
Yeah, absolutely.
The rest of the industry not fucking healthy. So it's a great album as well. That was one of those ones that Dave was the one that kind of set us up on that one, and that this is something that we need to be aware of. When we watched that reaction video, I was like, this is fucking awesome. Let's pray the album is as good, and the album is every second as good. So
it's just a fantastic. Even I'm not the hugest fan of guitar solos, but the solos on this one are just like
face melting. Face melting.
They're not just shredding; they're like melodic, and they tell it like they got their own little thing going on. It's just all of it. Love it. Great. Good
Take
stuff.
you on a journey, Kel. That's right.
A little bit, tiny bit. 15-second journey right in the middle of the song.
So like going that because I did check back our reaction to the Megadeth video, and that motherfucker plays 5 solos within 4.5 minutes.
Yep.
Each of them are. The thing is, I listened back to it. All 4 solos completely different and fucking great.
Yeah.
Talented bastard. That's what. If you can do it, do it.
I agree.
True.
Is it necessary?
I'm now curious because Dave has 3 albums that pushed out Conjurer, which I thought would have made his top 3. So I'm the guy who was like, if you had said to me, I would have been that guy that Dave called a fucking liar. So, right.
Right, gentlemen. Top 3.
Let's break it off now. Let's break it off. We have at least one more album. We might have 2 more albums that I think might be in your top 3 that I have in my top 3 that we haven't mentioned yet.
Yeah.
It's just the placement needs to be different now.
Yeah, okay.
I can't wait to see. I'm like,
this is the serious shit now. This is the separated by a ball here, as we say in Scotland.
Yeah,
it's a Scottish measurement.
Yeah,
it's in the metric system.
A ball here.
Yeah.
I'm just going to come out right out and say it. I'm not going to even build it up. I'm just going to say it. Number 3, released on February 4th on MNRK Heavy. Yeah.
Oh, fuck off, Dave! No!
My number 3 is Rollo Tomasi.
What?
Where myth, I know, where myth becomes memory. Look at the shock in Kyle's face.
There's no shock in my face because we have twinsied again.
No way, Duncan, man. What's going on here?
This is not a joke anymore. Like, I joked about this before. Like, we're going to be the same. We are the same right now.
You literally did hack my PC, didn't you?
Why would I hack your PC?
Actually,
I don't want my list to be the same as yours. I want my as someone as free is me, Dave. I'm a free guy. I don't want to be. Well, I have the same list. I want them to have a different list.
All right.
It just proves to me the thing that my wife is always saying: you spend too much time with Dave. Only one night a week. Apparently, one night's enough.
Yep.
My wife says the same. I'm in a totally different country.
Motherfucker, Dave.
Yeah, album number 6 from Rollo Tomasi, believe it or not. And what a fucking release.
What a fucking album.
This is like another album that is, or another band that is very difficult to pigeonhole. And, you know, what is wrong with you?
I need to stop doing these pigeonhole. I just imagine like someone fingering a pigeon's bum and his face going, oh! Why? Why am I like this now? I never used to be like this.
You know it would be perfect for that pigeonhole. 9 Inch Nail.
Oh man, Rollo Tomasi.
Rollo Tomasi. When myth becomes memory. Yeah, just a band that just weave multiple genres. Kind of similar to that Ithaca kind of way. They've got post-hardcore, bit of mathcore, metalcore. Yep. It's all kind of done effortlessly. Well, again, with a lot of confidence and craftsmanship. It's an album that's kind of like, it's subdued, but it's venomous. It's poetic. It's authentic. It sounds like a band just at the top of their game right now. It's an album filled with songs that are so well constructed, and it's just the album is really well kind of hung together. It's a great journey to go on. It really is. A great experience.
This is more of a voyage.
It is a voyage. It is. I think it wasn't until after we'd actually reviewed the album and I've just like been listening to it over and over that I kind of started to realise how good the kind of like the storytelling is on this release.
Oh, it's absolutely fucking incredible.
Like, and the tracks, like when you listen to the singles, they all work individually. But as an album, it feels even more rewarding when it's played in its entirety, and you follow those like kind of interlinked themes throughout the album.
That's the thing. You listen to those singles, and those singles all sound great, but not one of those singles sound alike.
Yeah, true.
Which I mean, that in itself, from a label point of view, is a very clever thing to do.
Yeah. Because
what you're getting snippets of the scope of the album without necessarily getting the feel of the album.
Yeah.
And then the stuff that you get in between, which by its very definition how you release things, shouldn't be as commercial as the singles that are released.
Yeah.
Are just as strong, if not stronger, and weave. Like there's at least one track which is all melody, in there. Which, like, once again, you kind of like, they can do it, so why not do it? But the way it's placed on the album is so clever, because it brings you off an ebb into like a moment of this just like expansive melody. And then you come out the other end, and then I think Drip is the song that comes after, which starts with that kind of drum, the droning thing, and the polyrhythm on the drum, and you're just like, what are we getting at? And then the back half of the album just takes you right off again. I'm a big fan of, I mention it quite a lot, but I'm a big fan of the craft that goes into creating an album. Some bands, it's just a collection of songs and that's fine. Other bands craft an album that when you listen to it, the journey joke that we keep doing is viable though. Like you experience a journey when listening to an album, from the first note that plays to the final note that closes. And Rollo Tomasi, in this particular release, with Luz Johns doing incredible production work, may as well mention it. Like, everything about this album is crafted in such a way to completely immerse you in their sound. And that is like, I get lost listening to it in the best way. It's just like, I'd like switch it on and forget about everything for the full runtime. And that's a gift, man. It's It's a gift. It's taken him 6 albums to get to that gift.
Yeah.
But another band that I feel like are maybe now just hit. Well, all these bands, I'm like, is this them just hitting their stride? If they never do anything remotely as good as this, I think they have already achieved like a level up status. Yeah. But I get a feeling that this is just the just the start now, man.
Well, yeah, I think this album definitely feels like they've stayed true to themselves, but they've showed like that they've evolved as well since the album before. So they're still pushing like their sound and into different places. There are moments on this album that will give you that like unmistakable Rollo Tomasi sound that you want on the album, but there's so many surprises here that make it all the more captivating. And I was reading about the album again after we'd recorded a review, but I read that Eva, the vocalist, she actually moved to the States a couple of years before the recording of this album. So the music was actually tracked by the band in the UK and then sent to Eva, and she recorded her vocals in New Jersey, which is like, I was like, it's kind of amazing considering the fact that they sound more of a kind of like tight knit unit than they ever have, but they're recording from, you know, different sides of the world, which just fucking blows my, and it sounds fucking amazing. I think a lot of people were wondering if they would be able to outdo like that last release, which was another incredible album, but they've somehow managed it here on this album. It's stunning, just an absolutely stunning album. And I'll be very, very surprised if it's not in a lot of end of year lists. Just fantastic release, loved it. Rollo Tomasi, Where Myth Becomes Memory is my number 3. Duncan.
This is getting tiresome now. My number 3, Rollo Tomasi, Where Myth Becomes Memory. Yeah, everything you said, Dave. I think back to the Spirit Box thing, which is just my gripe at the moment, because that's a mediocre album with a couple of good singles on it, and everyone fucking emptied their loads all over how great that was. And then I listened to Rollo Tomasi, which gives me incredible vocals, gives me harsh, snarly, black metal-y fucking like so abrasive sounding vocals, and music which is infinitely fucking better than anything on Spirit Box. Like pisses from a great height. A band is not one person. This is unless you're 9 Inch Neil, right? A band is not one person. You know what I mean? It really fucking isn't. Like that Spirit Box is a okay band with an exceptional singer.
Yeah.
Rollo Tomasi are an exceptional band.
Yep. Yeah, I agree.
That's the difference. It's not even fucking on the same level, man. There's just a gulf between the two. This is their best album. This is crafted exquisitely. The music is just like every nuance. Loose Johns, I mean, it's not even just take a bow. You know what I mean? Like give him an award. Like don't know if we do these things. Don't know if there's a Grammy for guy who just does everything right in 2022. Let's make that award and give it to him, because like we mentioned with Ithaca, it is a monumental step up, just in terms of everything. It's just like the band sound more confident, songs sound better, and I think a lot of that comes down to the producer. A lot of that is input there. Rollo Tomasi are the same. They're a band who are longer in the tooth, but like you listen to those two productions, they don't necessarily sound alike, but I'll tell you what they both have in common is they're very, very, very well crafted. The songwriting is on point, and all those nuances are clear as a bell. The keys work, oh my god, on Rollo Tomasi is fucking great. It's used the way it should be for a band like that, whether it's the piano stuff, it's the weird electronic sounds he's using, it's the ambient stuff he's using just in the background to uplift stuff. Guitar work, impeccable. Drum sound, this might be my favourite drum sound on an album this year. I think it is just, that snare for a start is just like, it's like being punched
slap in the face.
It's just like I fucking, it's the aforementioned drip. When it's just like started going bang, 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 you just hear that, and it's just like yes, fucking yes, just keep hitting it, just keep hitting that snare. The drumming is incredible. They mix all the stuff that you want from kind of old school Rollo Tomasi, but they've grown into a more interesting sound and a next phase of their songwriting career that I want to be a part of. I always liked them. I always thought they were a great band. I always thought that a lot of people slept on them. And they've toured relentlessly in the UK, because that's what happens when you're a kind of mid-tier UK band. You're shoved on every fucking bill and pushed out there, and we know them. We've seen about 1 million of the Rollo Tomassis of the world that are just shoved out. And instead of being those bands, they've clearly, like, conscientiously spent time to get better as they went along, and where Myth Becomes Memory is the culmination of that. It's an incredible album. I very much like yourself, Dave. If this isn't my top 5 at the end of the year, then this might be one of the best years we've had for metal. That's how confident I am that it's going to be. It's just it's February. It's the second month of the year, and I have not stopped listening to it. I cannot stop listening to it. It's my safe space. In between album, like, stuff that we get in, I can always go back and just shove it on and enjoy the journey. It's fucking great. They're on another band that have raised up, better label, and have raised their level of ability, songwriting and craft to match. I've not seen them this year. I know there is talk of them going out later on this year, maybe. Hopefully I get to see them this year. If I don't, next year on this album tour would be brilliant. You heard people talk about it. It's making loads of lists, but don't be complacent to think, well, I don't need to listen to that because it's a good album. Everyone's telling me it's a good album. Listen to the album and you will be rewarded tenfold.
Definitely.
My number 3, Rollo Tomassi, Where Myth Becomes Memory on MNRK.
Nice. Kyle, what have you got at number 3?
My number 3 this year is Profound Morality by Harriet.
Oh,
That's a... Wait a second, that is a...
Released in April.
Wow.
Where did that come from? I don't know it.
Right?
Kyle's a wild card in this recording. I fucking love it. Number 1, Danzig does Elvis. It doesn't happen. I'm calling bullshit in the recording. Tell us, Kyle. Tell us.
Are you kidding? What do you mean tell you? You've heard this album. It's fucking in equal parts heavy, beautiful, and nuts.
I liked it, yeah.
Fucking love it. It's that bass. Are you kidding? That bass.
The bass.
Jesus Christ.
About the bass.
Slap at the bass.
Oh man, it goes through so many like ups and downs, but it's all bass. It's all bass.
Tell us why it's a good album, Dave.
No,
I've just got bass jokes in my head now.
There's about 1 million. I did the Terminator thing, the fuck you asshole. I had like 17 different things to say, and I'm like that, just like Kyle talk.
Slap at the bass.
You'll start us off. Don't start us off again.
Yeah, don't lie. Listen, that's like you trying to put out like a fire with petrol. That's like everything's gonna get burned. Don't do it.
Yeah. Oh, well, I got plenty of what I'm going bass fishing later. This is another one of those albums that takes you through so many twists and turns, through hardcore and bass, and it rolls over. And it goes through industrial stuff as well, which I just didn't expect. Like, it went through like hardcore and then metalcore and let's have some industrial. I'm like, all right, yes please. And the vocalist just doing the fucking best vocalizing I've ever heard on any of Harriet's stuff. Just both clean and absolutely screaming her fucking face off as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it deserves all of the praise they've gotten this year. They were on a pretty big tour and they're gearing up for a new release. As far as I remember, what they said, they're in writing on new stuff. So I was like, oh, come on, give it to me, please. So, give it to me. I need that bass.
A weird voicemail from an unknown number said, oh, give it to me.
Give me more. Oh no! Ooh. I love it. And the thing is, it is not the longest album, so it's really easy to just play and play and play and play and play. It really is.
Yeah.
Each song is like 2.5 minutes long at the most, except for the last one. But like, it's so easy to go through, and I love it. I love that about it. Like some albums, you want long songs like Meshuggah or something like that, but this is like, nope. These songs are the perfect length, and I can enjoy them many times a day. So Very, very welcome at this high up on my list. So.
No prog epics on that album.
Could you imagine Harry doing a prog epic? I want to hear that.
10 minutes. No. Okay. Nice little curveball there from Kyle. I like it, Kyle. I like
Curveball Kyle, that's what they call him.
That's what we call him.
But not to my face.
Yeah, CBK.
No, not to your face.
I get told about that later in the hearing.
Okay. Top 2, gents. Top 2.
We have one that will be crossover and one that won't. So,
oh, interesting. Well,
one of them you've already mentioned in yours. So,
really,
oh yeah. So I know that, but there's one that has been conspicuous by its absence.
Really?
I know it's somewhere in the top 2.
Number 2 on my.
Find out. What was I doing that? What am I doing that?
We're going to February again, gents. February was the month.
February
was a month. Okay, number 2. I mean, excited was an understatement.
He's doing it.
When I heard this band were releasing an album.
Oh, Dave.
2022.
I thought this would be your one. I thought I'd be all right.
No, you're not all right, Duncan.
No. What is your number 1 then?
Oh,
I'm caught off guard here.
They put out my album of the year in 2020. So, although I thought I was initially, I know, I was initially excited when I heard they were releasing an album. I was actually, and we spoke about this in the review, I put off listening to it for about a month. Because I was we got it just before Christmas, I think.
Christmas, that's right, yeah.
And I was nervous. I was nervous that this wasn't going to live up to the previous release, which in my eyes was a perfect album. My number 2 is Giving Up the Ghost by Mountaineer, released February 25th on Life Force Records. As I said, initially nervous. Shouldn't have been worried at all, to be honest, because if there's one thing you should know about Mountaineer, is they don't deal in mediocre albums.
One thing you should know about Mountaineer, they're not human. It's insane how good this is.
Yeah.
Released less than 2 years after an album which was jaw-droppingly good.
Yeah.
Like the point where you were like that, right, well, they can just stop writing music now. Can I agree? No one agrees? Okay, then.
Hang on.
Please.
Consistency? I mean, what? Consistent AF is what I'd say, Duncan. This is unbelievable. This is, if you've not heard of Mountaineer, they are a post-sludgy doomgaze-ish band.
Yeah.
From
Seattle, was it?
San Francisco.
Oh, right, on the bay.
San Fran.
Sitting on the dock of the barrel.
Nice.
Watching the tide.
What a fucking album this is. This is a masterclass in delivering that kind of balance between emotionally uplifting and just utter devastation. This album just will push and pull your emotions the whole way through this 30 odd minutes of an album. And what I loved about this was just the control that they have on this release. After Bloodletting, they could have went all out and just delivered an abundance of what really worked on that album.
They could have just done it again, to be fair. They could have just actually done another Bloodletting and we would have all been happy, Dave.
Yeah, but they didn't. They didn't overstuff this album at all. They give you just enough of it to be satisfying, and not a note more. On the countless listens that I've had to this album since we've reviewed it, I think vocally this album started to hit me more and more every time I listened to it. I felt like they've really, really refined the vocals on their albums. I was listening to it the other day again. There are some songs where lyrically it doesn't actually give you all that much. Like, there's not a huge story being told in every track, but it's enough to get the point across, and in some cases actually makes the track feel more kind of profound.
It's track 3, the repetitive kind of melodic line of "Stop the Bleeding."
Yeah.
And they do it loads through there, and I'm not entirely sure what the song's about. All I know is, once I've listened to the album, I'm just walking about this going, "Stop the bleeding." like wife's like that. If you cut yourself, and I'm like, no, like just gonna go and bath the baby. Stop the bleeding. What's happened to it? Nothing. It's just a nightmare. It's not a band that paint pictures more with the music than they do with the lyrics. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Bloodletting was an album that for me kind of hit me right in the feels from the get go. Like, the opening track on that album just had me at hello. Giving Up the Ghost was the opposite. This album kind of gradually pushes you further and further towards that feeling, which almost makes it feel more rewarding in a way. When you hit that last third of the album, it's just this wave of warmth kind of flowing over you. And that's when it kind of hit me, like on that kind of last part of the album. I just like fucking love it so much. I think this band are unbelievably underrated.
100%.
And I think they should be on way more radars than they are. If you haven't heard Mountaineer, get it on your to-do list, because this album is phenomenal. And I had to fight with myself over the number 1 and number 2 spot on my list. I was like, where is it going to go here? But this could have easily been my number 1. As I said, these are separated by just the tiniest of things, but I just love this band so much. I didn't think they could do it again like they did on Bloodletting, but Giving Up the Ghost is just as good an album as that last album. So my number 2 is Mountaineer, Giving Up the Ghost. Duncan,
tragically,
you gotta like this.
Tragically, my number 2 is the same as Dave's again, which at least our number 1s are different.
Maybe.
No, they are, because you've already mentioned my number.
All right, okay.
So that's fine. Although I'm curious now, because I'm now thinking you went down a different path than I did, which is interesting. And we'll get to that when we talk about it.
Okay.
I mean, I was our first year back doing like podcasting and reviewing of albums. And in that first year, Metal Epidemic Mountaineer released an album. We were both captivated by it, just absolutely floored by just how impeccable it was as an album. Just different level. There's different levels to albums and music and creativity and song structure and composition and all the rest. And Mountaineer just existed almost unfairly in its own genre. Music. It was off to the side. There was no one that sounded like them at all. Interestingly enough, in the 2 years after, there are bands that are like taking that kind of shoegazy sound in and mixing it more with the sludge and mixing it. So I'm starting to hear other bands doing it, but none of them do it as well as Mountaineer.
No.
And as soon as we heard this was coming out, I was like, well, it feels too soon, and 2, what we're gonna get, nervousness of, was that first album lightning in a bottle, or is this I'm moving a different direction? Where do they go with the second album? And a lot of it is like removed from Bloodletting. It's not the same sort of beast. It's a shorter album for a start, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't pack the long sprawling songs that Mountaineer deliver. I mean, they're all in there. I mentioned during a review way back at the start of the year that very much like Mantar, there are elements of the grunge in what they're doing vocally, vocal melody hooks feel kind of grungy in the same register, using the same kind of notes and melodies that kind of resonate with that. But musically, it couldn't be any different if it tried. It really, on this album, I think they've understood. Bloodletting had a great balance between the heavy and the melody. On this album, it's kind of like we understand this, but now we're masters of it.
Yep.
And that's what Giving Up the Ghost has. Some people would say he foolishly, during his review, compared it to a movie that Dave doesn't like.
Here we go.
Ghost Story, a movie that I love. Like, to me, Dave doesn't like it because nothing happens. Duncan loves it because everything happens. Like everything, like the process of life, death, beyond, and time is all encapsulated in one movie. It's an art project, and it works on that level. And that's kind of what Giving Up the Ghost is. It like really does surprise me at how many different moods I can come in to listen to the album, and it just clicks.
Yeah.
I can be having the worst day and it makes me feel better.
Yep.
I can have the best day and it enhances it. I'm feeling a bit melancholic, a bit tired, and it gives me energy. It just is it's an album that's omnipresent regardless of mood, and that's a gift. Bands don't do that.
Yep.
That can write something that is not only so cleverly written, that is so balanced, so fine, but also is engaging regardless how you feel, and that's what Giving Up the Ghost is. I think it is a testament to a band, like Dave said, that is woefully under-listened to, doesn't appear on lists because people are ignorant, that will rate a fucking Architects album very high on their list. Oh, they're rating the new album, by the way. That'll be interesting to see what happens there. Where it's just like clearly a large label telling people they should love something, and then there are bands out there that are just like honing and crafting incredible music that's just you listen to it and it gives you all the melody and all the soul and all the passion of one style of music, but all the ferocity is something else, and they manage to bring it into the middle and just make it all work. They're honestly, they're one of the best bands on the planet, and we'll just have to be the hipsters of the music genre saying I was listening to them first. I don't know what else to say. Mountaineer, Giving Up the Ghost is my number one. It's available number two. Sorry, it's available on Life Force Records. Let's not jump ahead because there's one more to go. And it's so fucking good, man. It's so good, and they're really nice, and they tag me in things. I still don't have a t-shirt, and one day I will.
Yeah, need a t-shirt.
Yeah, as he says, Sidway's Blood Command t-shirt, who are also great. So let's not cash it.
Nice choice for number two, Duncan. I like it. I like all your choices from 5 to 2, actually.
You're not gonna like my number one. You're not gonna like my number one. That's fine.
I think I've just clocked what your number one is.
You should have by now.
Yep.
And let's be honest, you should have known before we hit record.
I'm with you. Kyle.
Yeah.
Before we get to that, what is your number two?
My number two. There are 2 albums this year that have given me fucking goosebumps.
Ooh.
Like every time I listen to them, from the first to the last, which the last one was today. And will probably be again tomorrow. And the day after that,
when I wrote my list, Duncan.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm with you, Kyle. Don't let Dave's pretending he's all confused. He knows what you mean.
It is, of course, Roller Tomasi, where myth becomes memory.
Yeah.
My number 2. For all the reasons already spoken about at great length, I can't.
If Roller Tomasi are listening to this, Kyle got stung with a massive bill importing a t-shirt. If you can do something, I don't know, send him free swag to make up for the fact that Norway will charge him an arm and a leg for a t-shirt. We'd appreciate it.
Yeah, that was an expensive album, that was. It's a really expensive t-shirt too. Worth it though.
Yeah, I wear it every day.
I do, yeah. Except for right now because it's in the wash. It's like it's tatters already. It's a shell of its former self. But for all the reasons already discussed, I can only go over what you guys have said about it. It's just a fantastic fucking album, and every time I listen to it, I get goosebumps and chills every time, and that doesn't happen with me often. So, only happened twice this year. Only happens about 5 times a decade. So, that's it. I'm all tapped out.
We might have the same number one, Kyle.
I was just worrying that, actually.
I actually now think we have the same number one, and it makes me happy because it means we're right because it's 2 against 1.
It makes you happy.
It can't be that bad, Dave.
Can't be.
No.
Or maybe it can.
Why the hell are you so sad?
I'm not.
Although your number one, if I'm right, if my calculations are right, is an album that I demoted purely because it is a complete mood piece. I went back. Oh, it might not be actually. Oh wow! Right, like I put I checked how many times I've listened to this on iTunes since we reviewed it, and I've listened to it exactly 4 times.
Right.
Which now makes me think the fact you're pulling that face is not that at all.
I'm just trying to remember if you said that during the review. I can't remember though.
Interesting. What's he building in there? Tom Waits. Tom Waits, what's he building in there is my number one, Duncan.
No.
Glad you mentioned it.
It is Mastodon and Leviathan.
Shit.
It's a joke that I don't think was actually on air, so
I don't think it was. No.
Garlic bread. Right.
Funnily enough, number one, believe it or not, when we reviewed this album back in February, February again,
February, wow.
I actually didn't score it a 5 out of 5. I didn't give this.
This is not the album I thought then. You've got me in the back foot.
What you doing? I didn't give this a 5 out of 5. I gave it, I think marginally, I gave it a 4.5, so just under a 5.
But were you like doing the Davey thing where you're like that? This is a 4.5. In time, though, I think it might become
Possibly.
Where you like that. Where
That
you
sounds like something I would say, yeah.
You sometimes you do that, but other times you're like that. It's a 4.5, and I'm like, that's not making an end of your list. You can just tell in his body language.
Right.
It's like,
Funnily you should mention Garlic Bread, Duncan. After a few more months with this album,
it's another French one.
it is firmly in the 5-star club now. That's right. I have gone back to this album more than any other album this year.
Nice.
Since its release in February 11th to be exact.
You're shouting dates as if I know anything about it.
Remember that day?
I
February
did
11th.
album, band name, record label, nothing else. I
Okay.
didn't take dates down.
That's all right.
Thanks.
Proactive, reactive.
I'm a reactive reviewer. I can't say reviewer now. Reviewer.
It was put out by a label that are absolutely killing it this year, Nuclear Blast Records. And for me, I haven't heard another album that sounds like this year.
It's very interesting. Dave.
It stands alone. No, not gonna.
I'm wait. I'm not gonna like it's your fucking thing.
Okay.
I'm not gonna be like Dave.
That was just a little hint there. Separated from the rest of my list, in my opinion, the album is "A Loner" by Hangman's Chair.
Oh shit!
That's right.
Nice.
The Parisian doomy shoegazy, again, kind of gothicy doomgaze.
I posted a thing on my like horror podcast page earlier on asking for people to put their favourite albums. Genre be damned.
Oh yeah.
Give me a list of what you've been listening to this year that's amazing. Hangman's Chair came in from my buddy the Ram Man, who posted 4 albums, and that was one of the 4 that is constantly on rotation.
Oh,
as well.
Nice, my man. Nice. Yeah, well, I can totally see why. This is an album that just, man, it gives me goosebumps just thinking about it now, actually. If you've never heard Hangman's Chair before, they are French. Yes, I know. I have a problem.
Just go there. Have you been to France before?
Yes.
How long ago?
Oh, a long time ago.
Since you've been married?
Before that.
Before that, Dave. To go over as an adult. Totally
Get some garlic bread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely on our to-do list, yeah. My kid fancy's going as well. She would like to go.
Amazing. It's amazing. I went as a kid. I fucking hated it. French people were dicks. Parisians could burn in hell. And then I went over on my honeymoon and I was like, this is genuinely the best city I've been to this year.
Yeah.
Quantifying it because they're a better size. But yeah, it was lovely. And but when I was over there, I never once thought, let's take in a rock show. But I did go to a rock bar and it was fucking amazing. Like, I absolutely, everyone, just everything impeccable. So I think their music scene is pretty.
For me, they do some of the best metal out there going.
Is it like the thing I was trying to think about this? I think a lot of it is to do with the production. Like, see, French sounding music, like in that genre, has a tangible, it's a tangible sound that is instantly recognisable. But if you were to ask anyone what makes it sound that way, you can never describe it.
Yeah, I get that.
Like every French band, even regardless of how good their music is, all sound fucking great.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's weird.
Yeah,
Something
and it's not even
about-
like a vocal thing. Like you can hear an accent, nothing like that. You can hear it solely in the production of these albums. They're a French kind of gothic kind of doomgaze band from Paris. Aloner is their sixth album. So it's not like they've just like appeared this year. They've been on the go for like over 15 years. But they did recently sign to Nuclear Blast Records before putting out this album. Their last album was 2018, Bon Le Triste, and obviously a little bit of a gap between that one and this one, but I enjoyed that album. This album just goes to the next level. This shows a band. It shows that the songwriting has just gone to that next level. This is a tour de force in the genre. This is thick. It has like a kind of thick, low, kind of rumbling doom, but with this like huge coating of like an echoey, atmospheric kind of shoegaze over the top. Like riffs wise, it's not overly complicated. The riffs are quite simplistic, as doom often is. But I think if this was too technical and overcooked, it would not work as well as it does. The kind of minimalism and the heaviness allows this kind of flow and this groove, but also allows the kind of other kind of dreamy elements to really shine on this album. And when they push into that kind of like more kind of like haunting side of their sound, that's when the kind of magic happens for me. It's a very melancholic album. It's just one of those that from the instant, like the first track, I am completely captivated on this album, and it's one of those ones that I stick on thinking I'll just put it on in the background, but I can't help but just constantly like pay so much close attention to it. There's moments of it that feel almost like movie score like rather than like an album, but the way they build it and layer it up with those kind of clean guitars is just unbelievable. Vocally is the kind of the icing on the cake for me. Cedric, the vocalist, his voice is just very pure, very soulful, very powerful, even though he's competing with this kind of really kind of like dense kind of doom guitar riffs, but the way they've played that against a very clever production, it cuts through this huge sound. The harmonies are beautiful, just flawlessly placed just to elevate the whole thing, and it create a hook as well, which is something you don't get often in doom, but these guys they just do it extremely well. I think if you like your doom with that kind of dose of like gloom and melody, this is one you need to hear. I was listening to this was one that I listened to all the time, but I was listening to it again in preparation for this recording, and I was like see if the Deftones were French, right? And they decided to make a doom album. This kind of might be how it turns out. Like there's something a little bit kind of Deftonesy in it, but it's not. But it's not the Deftones, if you know what I mean. It's weird, but just a very unique sounding album. Like I can't think of another album that sounds like this. And when I thought of my number one pick at this point in the year, this was the album that came to mind straight away. Like it's just so immersive, like kind of like Mountaineer that those albums are very close together, but again, similar to the Mountaineer, it's got hooks, it's got riffs that will just fucking pile drive you into the ground, and it's got unbelievably lush production. Just fucking amazing. And it's French. I mean, like, so that's why it has moved its way into my number one spot. Just a flawless album for me. Hangman's Chair, A Loner is my number one pick at this point in the year. Duncan and Kyle.
Well, I'm now. I think Kyle's on board with me. I think we are of one mind. But then his number two pick threw me. Well, sorry, his number three pick threw me for six. So never count on exactly knowing what Kyle's doing.
There's a couple of bands that Kyle dropped this year that I'm expected to hear, but I haven't.
My number one is like I called a Babe Ruthed it when we reviewed it, and like very much like when we did Genghis Tron, and I was like it's going to take a lot to knock this off my number one. Everyone's going down the guitar stuff, everyone's going down the blast beats and the hardcore and the death metal, the deathcore. They're doing a bit of sludge, they're doing a bit of doom, they're doing a bit of rock, they're doing a bit of rap rock, they're doing a bit of new metal, they're doing a lot of things. I'll tell you what they're not doing is the industrial. That is my lane. And I'll tell you right now, there are few groups that have released an album of this quality and this genre in a long time. Out with my number one, which is Author and Punisher with Crueler on Relapse Records. This album is fucking amazing. I had a feeling when it didn't pop up in the back five. I was like, this one's scoring really high. And well, there's a lot to, like Dave obviously mentioned, it was a win for him. So like as a non-industrial listener, it dragged itself into your 10.
Yeah.
Right. And that's someone that isn't interested in the genre. If you're hardcore in the genre, you imagine what it's like for us.
Yeah.
This is the good drugs, Steve.
Yep.
This is the good shit, like, right?
Yep.
Yeah. It's opened your eyes and you can see the future.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like Tristan's he's been doing stuff for years, right?
It's like 8 albums or something.
Oh, like years and years. And his claim to fame was making industrial albums with the gnarliest fucking abrasive sims with homemade instruments, homemade sims and all the rest. That's what he did. And he carved out this niche for him, which was impeccable. You know, like there was no one that sounded like him that wasn't like trying to add it as an element in like fucking death metal like the Berserker or something else. It had its own lane, and it was almost his own version of industrial. And then Crueler came out and we'd heard a single in advance of it, and I'm like, well, very much like the Ghost album we talked about last year, the smart thing was to include vocals. As soon as you include vocals, you give a focal point for writing music, right, into songs, as opposed to sprawling simscapes. It's why, while you listen to that early Carpenter Brute stuff, it sounds great. You listen to some of the recent stuff where there's the occasional vocalist on some of these tracks, it makes it sound more like an album. So the fact that he come in and done his vocals, the fact that he's not a great vocalist, let's be honest, he's not a great vocalist.
But it fits so well. That's the thing.
I was thinking about this when I was listening to it. Like, Crueler to me sounds like see if Gary Newman was writing music now. That's what Crueler would sound like.
Yeah.
Gary Newman is not a great vocalist, right? He's not. He has a range. Sometimes it's a bit whiny. And like what you get here is not the biggest range at all, but it fits like a glove. He approaches the vocals as just another instrument in the layers that are, and that's why it works. Instead of being the focal point, it's not the focal point of anything he does at all. It's just an added layer on top of whatever's happening. It is a fucking supremely crafted album. You mentioned Deftones in your like review there. There are elements of Deftones in here as well, specifically in the melody, where he like does like harmonies or discordant notes, which like evoke some of the stuff that Chino does that make me love Chino, and also makes Chino completely different from every other vocalist out there, where he does things that are slightly out, but actually that level of being slightly out actually works against what's playing before as an additional thing. Does that loads through this album, and a lesser mind might think it's because he's hitting bum notes. It's not, because when you hear the melodies that are kind of either side harmonizing, they're in key, so it's deliberate. It's once again, it's that approach of I'm playing a chord on a keyboard. Those chords are 3-4 notes or whatever. My vocals will be one of those notes, and then I'm going to maybe go to the 7th or the 5th or whatever it is, and it's, oh man, it blew my mind. And every time I've come back to it, and I mean this legit, every time I come back to it, I hear another little subtle detail with like a synth part or the guitar parts, which are easily overlooked if you're not paying attention to them at times, out with the chun chun, like where you're like, yeah, this is my headbanging thing. He's doing other bits in the background.
There's like little bits of lead work and stuff. It just creep in, and you don't notice it the first 5 times you listen to it, but then you go, hang on a minute, that's a lead guitar.
By the time you've listened to it loads, you've picked apart everything in between. You're still hearing noises, and you're not sure where they're coming from.
Yeah,
and that to me is his weapon as a musician, is the ability to not only craft the songs that have the depth that they have, but the re-listen or revisit value is really, really high on this album, but it wasn't always in previous albums. I felt like previous Author and Punisher stuff, was very much a mood piece. It was very much a, I feel angry, I feel like fucking smashing something just now, go shove on some Author and Punisher and vent it out. And it was very concise, and it was dense, packed for sure, but it was packed with a lot of the same sort of stuff. And in this one, he's thrown caution to the wind. The actual melody and the synth parts and the sims that he's created is 80s-tastic, man. It really is just like
something that exists somewhere reverb on the snare.
Oh, dude, it exists somewhere between like the Human League and fucking like Depeche Mode. Yeah. It hurts my brain at how good it is. I will say, like, with hand on heart, with full sincerity, that Cruller is the best industrial album since The Fragile.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I don't think there is an album that comes close to what he's done on this one, and don't want to keep like hitting on a theme here. This is his first album with vocals on Relapse, so you take that as almost a reset scale that he's doing something different, and this is the first thing he's done on this. I'm gonna say it. 5 years from now, this might not be the best Author and Punisher album. Currently is. This might not be in 5 years' time, and that gets me hard as a fucking woodpecker. Honestly, it's just like, what, drill things fast. It's so good, man. And the moment I listened to it was, like I said, the previous year, the Gengistron. As soon as I listened to that release, I was like, all right, this is everything I like in music in one album. Like everything, like to the levels that I want it to be at, it's all in one album. And I listened to Cruller at the start of the year. I was like, this is everything that I want in music at that level.
Yeah.
And it will take an act of fucking God, and I'm calling it now, it will take an act of God to move this from my number one spot.
Same for me. It is
It's incredible. So Kyle, your number one is obviously...
it's the album Freedom by Journey.
Thank you very much, Kyle. I mentioned Journey a lot in this episode, but not as a band name. I like it.
Yeah, actually an album that came out this year. It's definitely this one. Cruller, Author and Punisher. I mean, anything I say is just going to be going over again. It's just how it is. I mean, I'll agree, it is the most perfect industrial album that's come out since The Fragile.
It was your first time listening to them as well, which floored me.
Yeah, I know. But I've gone back and listened to the previous stuff, and I'm like, this is definitely Author and Punisher at the top of... Yeah, it's the best album they've done so far. He's done, and it's so different from the other stuff because, like I said, it's still dense and it's still packed, but it's got all these sparse bits as well, which just make the dense, heavier parts feel more dense and heavy. Like, he's got all this fantastic sample stuff, and I know he makes his own instruments. I'm not entirely sure what is coming from the homemade instrument, what's coming from a sample, or what's coming from a synthesizer. And I
don't know how much he's got online either. There'll be a YouTube. Rabbit hole somewhere where you just he can't be one of these guys that's like, it's all behind the door. There will be stuff where he shows you it, but it's how I very much like yourself with a sin.
That's really interesting. On the other hand, I kind of don't want to know.
There's a part of you don't want to know how the sausage is made. Sorry to mention sausage, but there's a part where you don't physically want. Part of its charm is knowing that everything he's done in there is not only written by himself, recorded by himself, or played by himself or whatever, but there's all this stuff that you can't quite put can't be listening to going, well, that's a Roland, or that's a Nord. I know that not. Like, there's sounds on here that I, as an aficionado of synths, I can't recognize the sound.
It could be a Moog, but it's kind of not at the same time. Like, what the fuck? And then there's all these crazy noises and stuff. It's like, okay, that must be his homemade shit, because how the fuck else did he do it? And plus, adding that vocal, it took this to a whole nother level compared to the rest of the albums. It really did. And if there's going to be a top 10 of the decade, it would take, like you said, an act of God to take this off the decade's number one spot for me. It's absolutely...
Really? Wow! Yeah, yes! He's calling it in 22. He's got 8 years left. He's like, it's my fucking number one. Come at me. It remains in 7 years.
I couldn't believe it came out at the beginning of the year. I was like, that's fucking year's ruined. The whole year just... And then Rolo Tomasi came after that. I was like, just fuck off. 2022 is too good. Just too good. It's been an incredible year for albums this year, and we're only halfway through it.
We're only halfway through it.
What the hell's next? I just can't possibly
There's
think.
so much left.
Right?
When you look at the list of things still to come out this year, it's exhausting. But yeah.
But it can't be better than this. It just can't get better than this. If it does, I might actually just melt into my chair. I'll just be a puddle.
Kyle's going to start declining music from me now. When I send him my folder, I'll get a little notification. Kyle has declined. Okay.
He's going to be busy during recordings.
Yeah.
There's only so many times he can use a COVID excuse. Dave, will you believe it? I've got COVID again. Yeah.
The second time it was, I tried to get a cabin with Wi-Fi, and they were like, "Yeah, we don't have Wi-Fi." I'm like, "You fuck."
There was something about a tomato somewhere in there. We're starting at the bottom of it.
Right. No, that was my daughter misreading Rolo Tomasi. She was like, "Rolo tomato."
There's a tomato somewhere in there. That's all I know.
That's great. Made me die laughing. What's a Rolo tomato? Like, no, it's Tomasi. It's not a tomato. Boy. What are you in here for anyway? Get out.
There we go.
Oh, gentlemen.
Are we going to go 10 down to 1?
Let's do it. Let's do recap it. Okay, so.
I've got to type it all out again. Shit, hold on.
Top 10 for myself. Number 10, Author and Punisher, Crueler. Number 9, Beyond the Sticks, Sentence. Number 8, Cancer Bat, Psychic Jailbreak. Number 7, Big Muff, 68. And Swing Metal. Number 6.
I can't say it that way.
It has to be said that way.
Big Muff.
Number 6, Surreption and Yod.
What every woman wants to hear. Big Muff.
Number 5, Ithaca, They Fear Us. Number 4, Conjurer and Pathos. Number 3, Rolo Tomasi, Where Myth Becomes Memory. Number 2, Mountaineer, Giving Up the Ghost. And number 1, Hangman's Chair, A Loner. Duncan, what's your 10?
Number 10, Cult of Luna, The Long Road North. Number 9, Blood Command with Praise Armageddonism. Can't wait to see you live. Number 8, Without Waves, Comedian. Number 7, Cave-In, Heavy Pendulum. Number 6, Mantar, Pain is Forever, and This is the End. Number 5 is Ithaca, They Fear Us. Number 4, you're getting deja vu, I know, just bear with us. Conjurer and Pathos. Number 3 is Rolo Tomasi, Where Myth Becomes Memory. Number 2 is Mountaineer, Giving Up the Ghost, with number 1 being Author and Punisher and Crueler.
Nice. And finally, Kyle.
Number 11, Big Muff.
And it's just to slip a Big Muff in there.
God, gotta slip it in. Man. Number 10, Meshuggah, Immutable. Number 9, Septic Flesh, Modern Primitive. 8, Row of Ashes, Bleaching Heat. Number 7, Cadaver March, Into Oblivion. At 6, Magnetar, Crushed. Number 5, Zealanada, self-titled. Number 4, Venom Prism, Erebos. Am I saying that right? Erebos? I don't know. Number 3, Harriet, Profound Morality. Number 2, Rolo Tomato, Where Myth Becomes Memory. And number 1, Author and Punisher, Crueler. It really kicks the garlic spread.
Right in its clothes. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Okay, so
I can't wait. I'm gonna move to France, start a metal band, and call it Cloven Hoof.
It's a great name. If it's not Doom,
It's probably
or
taken.
Sludge, then no one's called himself Cloven Hoof.
Just be the devil holding a gun.
Your first song needs to be The Hoof. The Hoof is on fire.
okay, gentlemen, that is our top 10 albums of 2022 so far, but it could all change. We've still got the second half of the year to go. And
he's leaving them on a note of anticipation. See how he does that?
But if it's anything like the first half, then it's going to be a fucking killer list to make at the end of the year.
I mean, we are spoiled. We are like literally. I shortlisted down to 14 albums, and there are some albums that you guys have mentioned that I'm now in hindsight going, I need to go back and listen to that. I genuinely need to go back and listen to that album if it's scoring as high. So yeah, who knows what the end of the year will bring. Mostly heartache, confusion.
Divorce.
Maybe indigestion, and definitely divorce. We'll all be divorced by then.
100%. So that
Reason
is
for divorce, Dave.
Always is. Let us know what albums you have been digging in 2022 so far. You can comment on but this episode will get released on all streaming platforms, so you can message us through social media. This will also go out in 2 parts on YouTube, so feel free to stick some comments in below on the YouTube video and let us know what albums have you been digging in 2022. Is there something that we haven't put in our list that you think should be in our list? Then let us know. That is the episode. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for checking it out. We will be back with another podcast next month. Until then, take care. Speak to you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.